That is an electric car, and if you listen to a boring car person, it's basically the worst thing in the world. But why? Why do so many car enthusiasts like me seem to have such a problem with EVs? This is the EV I've been living with for the last 6 months. It's an Audi S e-tron GT. In this video, I'm going to explain what this car is like to live with. Sometimes it's really good, other times it's terrible, what it's like to drive. It's so fast. And I'm also going to try and unpack why so many car people seem to hate EVs. These cars, they lose value like a sausage roll that's been dropped in a gutter. But before we get started, please take a moment just to subscribe to our YouTube channel. I think I'm going to upset someone with this video. It's not intentional. Actually, it's inevitable. People feel so strongly about electric cars that no matter what someone like me says about them, positively or negatively, someone is going to get irritated by it. If I say something in support of electric cars, the anti-EV brigade come at me with pitchforks. If I say something critical, the pro-EV lot do the same. And that's fine. I'm glad people feel strongly about cars, because if they didn't, I wouldn't have a job. But before I tell you about my position on electric cars, let me tell you more about the EV that I've been living with.
The e-tron GT is Audi's flagship electric car. Its sibling is the Porsche Taycan. They share a platform. The e-tron GT first arrived in 2020 and it was facelifted last year. This is one of those facelifted cars. It's an S, which in Audi speak normally means one of the higher end models in the range, but in this case the S is the cheapest and least powerful e-tron GT you can buy. Which doesn't mean it's cheap and not very powerful. Prices start at almost £110,000 and peak power output is 671 brake horsepower. There's one electric motor on each axle, so it's four-wheel drive or quattro because it's an Audi. The massive 105 kWh battery gives an official range of 370 miles. In reality it's less, but we'll come to that. The e-tron GT sprints to 62 miles an hour in just 3.4 seconds.
So what's it like to drive? This is Cheddar Gorge. It's very, very beautiful, so you want to drive slowly through here. Besides, it's busy, there's lots of traffic, lots of people, there are cyclists. So you drive as if you would in a busy town, a busy city. You drive slowly. And that, for me, is when EVs really come into their own. In this sort of normal, just getting from A to B kind of driving, local to home, I would rather be in an EV. This one is so quiet and so smooth, it's so refined and relaxing and effortless. The ride is good. Actually, I think the ride could be even better. It's not fantastic, but it is good. And this Audi, it's just a lovely place to be. It's just as good on faster A roads and motorways as well. There's a sort of polish about this car, there's a cohesion to it. The steering, for instance, I think it's probably the best steering of any modern Audi. Perhaps rear-wheel drive versions of the R8 aside, but it is that good. I suppose ultimately, when I'm just driving to get somewhere, I really, really enjoy this car more than, I think, basically any other car that I've lived with for any kind of extended period of time. So by now you can tell that I quite like the Audi. I really enjoy living with it. It is fantastic to use in normal driving. And I haven't even mentioned one of the most important things about it yet. It's so fast, like ridiculously quick. This might be the least powerful model in the e-tron GT lineup, but believe me, you don't need any more performance than this. Anytime you snap open the accelerator pedal, the car just goes. It is amazing. You would need a very, very powerful, very, very quick supercar to get better overtaking performance than you have in this thing. Because electric motors, they deliver all of their torque instantly, and unlike a turbocharged engine in particular, they don't need any time to draw breath and wind themselves up, and there are no gear shifts either. Electric cars always feel really fast, faster than they actually are, but they also give you this kind of massive overtaking punch. So getting past a slower moving car in this car in particular is just so easy. Sometimes I look at these crazy EV horsepower outputs and I think it's a bit stupid. Kias and Hyundais with 600 horsepower, this thing with almost 700 horsepower. But then you drive them and you realize that all that go really does serve a purpose. There is utility to it. Because as I said, overtaking is so easy. Joining a very, very fast moving motorway effortlessly can be useful. I know that the likelihood that I've got more performance than the next car is roughly 100%. And I really like that. But only to a point. The top of the range e-tron GT, the RS Performance, has more than 900 horsepower. I've driven that car. It is crazy fast, but it's not that much faster than this. It doesn't feel that much quicker. And so massive EV power is great, but 600-700 horsepower, that's enough. You don't need 900 or more. I've got more to say about the Audi, not all of it positive. But first I want to outline my position on EVs. Am I pro-EV? Am I anti-EV? Well, I'm neither. Or more accurately, I'm both, because there are good things about electric cars and there are bad things about electric cars. And having lived with one these last 6 months, I know exactly what those good and bad things are. Now, one reason boring car people like me often criticise electric cars is the inconvenience of charging. Hanging around in grotty service stations for hours on end. Is it really like that though? You know what? Let's go and find out.
First of all, to run an EV every day, you really do need a home charger. I had my pod point installed soon after the Audi arrived, and it's the difference between EV life being really quite effortless and a total pain. Tens of millions of people in the UK cannot charge an EV at home, and to them I say this, don't bother. If you can't easily charge your car overnight at home or cheaply at work, living with an EV is going to be a nuisance.
Even if you have a charger at home, eventually at some point you're going to have to come and plug in at a public charge station like this one. Now, they're not hard to find. They're in every motorway service station, in towns and cities, they're everywhere. It's only if you live in the middle of nowhere that you might struggle to find one, but you never know how busy the station is going to be if you're even going to get a space, and you never know how fast the charge point is going to deliver a charge. This one is clipping along at almost 120 kilowatts now. That's really fast, not super duper fast, but that's good. It's not always this easy. I've seen so-called fast chargers chug along at something like 30 kilowatts, even less than 30 kilowatts. And at that speed, it would take 3 hours to charge this car. It's just hopeless. On the other hand, the fastest charge I've ever seen was 270 kilowatts, which is insanely fast. By the time you've gone inside, been to the toilet, found something to eat, you come back out and your car's basically fully charged. It's fantastic. So the speed of public charging is a total lottery. Sometimes it's really good, other times it's terrible. Right now, it's pretty good. But the thing is, you can't trust it. So if you're setting off on a long journey, you can't trust that you'll turn up at a charge station and be able to plug in and get a very fast charge. That means you have to leave plenty of time in your pocket every time you set off on a long journey, which can be annoying. Also, this is expensive. This charge station costs 79p per kilowatt. So to fill this car, you're looking at about £80. That will give me something like 250 miles of driving range. 250 miles of driving range for £80. Honestly, I could run an Audi RS6 with a great big V8 for that kind of money. So public charging is less convenient than it should be, and it's really expensive. Two good reasons why boring car people like me might not like EVs. Now, you probably heard me say that Audi will do around 250 miles on a charge. Audi says the car will do 370 miles on a charge. So where have my 120 miles gone? In the 6,000 or so miles that I've driven in the Audi, it has averaged 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour. Now the car's usable battery is 97 kilowatts, so 2.6 times 97 is 252 miles. Now, you probably won't run the battery all the way down to nothing before recharging it, so maybe the real world range is actually 230 miles. As the weather warms up, the range is improving. EVs do not like cold, wintry weather. These days, I see up to 3 miles per kilowatt hour, giving a total range of 290 miles. Better, but that's still a long way short of what Audi claims. Before we go any further, I just want to take 30 seconds to tell you all about the intercooler. It's much more than just a YouTube channel. It's also a new kind of car magazine, a multi-award winning, ad-free online car magazine with what we're convinced is the best team of automotive writers working anywhere in the world today. Our subscribers get a new feature-length article every day of the working week. They can listen to our popular Monday podcast ad-free. There's also a subscriber-only midweek podcast, again ad-free. And now they can also watch all of our videos ad-free, and they can even listen to our daily articles as ad-free podcasts via whichever podcast app they prefer. So if you're not yet subscribed, click the link here or down in the description to check out our subscription packages. And if you take out an annual sub and you use the coupon code VID20 at checkout, you'll get 20% off for the first year. So go and do that now, please. Okay, end of message. Now, there's another big problem with EVs: weight. The Audi weighs... Actually, let's do this properly. This is my local weighbridge. You can pull up here, park on the scales, weigh your car, find out exactly how heavy it is. It's riveting stuff. Audi says the S e-tron GT weighs 2,310 kilograms. Let's find out what it really weighs. $2,380 kilos, so 70 more than Audi claims. So that's almost a 2.4 ton car. So 2,380 kilograms, that is heavy. But let's compare that to a broadly similar petrol car, another Audi, the RS7, right? It's a similar sort of size, similar sort of power output, similar sort of price. This thing is more than 300 kilos heavier than the RS7. These things are heavy, and there's one big reason for it. It's these things, batteries. Very different sort of battery, but for illustrative purposes, this thing will do the job. EV batteries these days are lithium ion, and they're heavy things. The Audi's battery weighs around 700 kilograms. There are entire cars that weigh less than 700 kilograms. It means EVs tend to be very, very heavy, and that has all sorts of consequences. Lithium-ion battery technology has come a long way in 10 or 15 years, but it's still quite limited. It's why EVs can only go so far. It's why they take so long to charge and why they weigh so much. Now, battery technology is going to improve a lot in the coming years. Solid-state batteries, they're in development right now, and they will start appearing in cars soon. Next 5 years, we don't know. It might be a bit longer than that. When they do arrive, EVs will become lighter. They will have more range. They will recharge faster. Solid state could be a game changer. But for now, we're stuck with lithium ion, and we're stuck with heavy EVs that are limited in what they can do. That massive weight means EVs aren't exactly fun to drive. But rather than sit here and talk to you about it, let's go and do it properly. As I said earlier, I really enjoy driving this Audi, I really do, particularly in just sort of normal getting about the place kind of driving. Now, when you get it on a classic British B road like this one, it is amazingly capable. The grip of the thing, the body control, how well contained all its weight is, the agility, the precision in the steering, how quickly you can hustle it through corners, all that stuff is really impressive. But if you want to have fun on a classic British B road, which I do, this isn't the car for you. And frankly, nor are other cars like it. They are too big, they are too heavy, they're not involving enough, there's no sort of sense of interaction. And then there's the fundamental issue with EVs as driver's cars, and that's the lack of an internal combustion engine. That means no soundtrack, at least no real authentic soundtrack. That means no vibrations. That means no sort of crescendo in the power delivery. It means no gear shifts. And so you're missing loads of the things that make driving fun. And it means that an EV just isn't as enjoyable to drive along a road like this one. So EVs aren't as fun as ICE cars. They're just not. But there are some really promising electric sports cars on the way. The next Porsche Cayman, the next Porsche Boxster, they are going to be all electric. There's a spy shot, there you go, of the Cayman. The next Alpine A110 is going to be all electric. This is actually a current shape A110, a one-off that they made electric. Have a look at this thing. The Renault 5 Turbo 3E. That looks extraordinary. It's got more than 500 horsepower with one motor on each of the rear wheels, so it's rear wheel drive. I'm excited for this thing. And how about these? Longbow, a British EV startup that's going to launch these two stunning lightweight electric sports cars in the next couple of years. Longbow says they'll weigh less than 1,000 kilograms, they'll have more than 300 brake horsepower and close to 300 miles of range. I think I'm even more excited about these things, and they look spectacular. Now, that Renault 5 Turbo 3E is 150 grand. These Longbow sports cars will start at £65,000. That's a lot of money, and that's another big problem with EVs. They are expensive.
My Audi costs almost £110,000, but it's not just premium German EVs that cost a packet. Even an electric Vauxhall Corsa costs almost £27,000 or £420 a month. A well-spec'd petrol Corsa is less than £21,000. Want a mid-range electric Volkswagen SUV? That's 46 grand, almost £10,000 more than a petrol Tiguan.
Linked to cost is another big problem with EVs like this one, that's depreciation. These cars, they lose value like a sausage roll that's been dropped in a gutter. So to demonstrate that point, I've come to my local Audi dealership to see what you can buy a used e-tron GT for. Now, we haven't asked if we can be here, we're being a little bit naughty, so cameraman George is going to stay in the car and I'm going to do this on my own using my extremely high-tech, very fancy pocket cam, which looks a lot like an iPhone. So, let's see what I can find. Okay, so I can't see any e-tron GTs just yet. I'm just pretending that I'm looking to buy a used Audi. I'm just browsing the stock. Well, I am just browsing the stock. I'm looking for e-tron GTs. They're good colours. RS6 there, very nice. None so far. Where are all the e-tron GTs? So I can see one, but it doesn't seem to be for sale. Did you see that? I think maybe it's a customer's car. Okay, new plan, because there aren't any used e-tron GTs for sale here. I'm surprised at that. Maybe that says something in itself. So the new plan is to look online and see what a used e-tron GT is worth. And in fact, I've already done that, right? And I've done some calculations. I think that after 3 years, this car's trade-in value will be something like £50,000. Brand new with options, it costs more than 120 grand. So if I'm right, this car is going to shed something like £70,000 of value in the first 3 years. That's £2,000 a month It's ludicrous. Now, I'm not singling out this car, the e-tron GT, because they all do it. The Porsche Taycan does it. Very upmarket, very expensive electric BMWs and Mercedes, they all do the same thing. And that's one of the huge problems with these high-end EVs. They just lose so much value. Now, the vast majority of these cars are not bought by private buyers. They're bought as company cars. And company car buyers don't care about depreciation because their companies can write it all off against tax. And it also means that if you're looking to buy a used e-tron GT or something similar, there are some cracking deals out there on the used market. But if you are buying one of these cars brand new with your own money, you're going to lose a hell of a lot of it. Earlier I spoke about driving in towns and cities. That's where EVs really come into their own because they're cleaner than petrol and diesel cars. They don't spit out any nasty emissions. That's important because the air quality in our towns and cities is terrible and there are real health consequences to that. When most of the cars on the road are electric, air quality will improve, although buses, lorries, vans, everything else, they're all going to have to do their part. Also, I will point out that the particulates that come off tyres are bad for air quality as well, and heavy cars with big fat tyres, like EVs, they're the worst offenders. But even so, more EVs on the road means better air quality, and that means better health outcomes. But are EVs better for the environment overall? Honestly, this is a huge topic in its own right. I would need an entire video to go into it in any meaningful detail. But the short version is this. EVs are better, but they're not blameless. They take much more energy to build in the first place, meaning more environmental damage. But even if the energy used to power them comes from coal, comes from gas, they are cleaner overall than a petrol or diesel car after a few years of use. If that energy is renewable, they are cleaner than petrol or diesel cars after just a couple of years of use. There are also very serious, very real concerns about battery mining. Digging the minerals for EV batteries out of the ground is a filthy business, and shamefully, in some parts of the world, child labour is used to do it. That obviously has to stop. The mining industry obviously must do better. On the positive side, the vast majority of the materials used to make EV batteries can be recycled or repurposed later on. I think one of the big reasons boring car people like me often don't like EVs is that we feel threatened by them, as if they're going to stop us from enjoying what it is that we love about driving. And I sometimes feel that way myself. After all, in 2030, here in the UK, the sale of new petrol and diesel cars will be banned for good. Hybrids will be gone 5 years later. And so 10 years from now, you're not going to be able to buy a car in the UK that has an internal combustion engine. Now, it does look like there's going to be an exemption for very low volume manufacturers like McLaren, like Aston Martin. That's great news, but those very low volume cars tend to be really, really expensive. But nobody is proposing taking your existing ICE car away from you just yet. And you know what? Given the way new cars have evolved, given the trend for modern cars getting ever bigger, ever heavier, ever more complex, having ever more nannying technology, I think the world's great petrol-powered drivers' cars have already been built. So maybe the solution a few years from now is to have an EV like this one for normal, everyday driving, and then an older petrol-powered car at home for when you really want to go out there and enjoy driving. I think that's my plan anyway. So, final thoughts. There are very real problems with EVs right now, but the technology is going to improve rapidly, and so will the infrastructure. Eventually, electric cars will be about as convenient as petrol or diesel cars are today. I am not at all convinced that a driver's EV can be as fun as a petrol one. I've driven a lot of EVs, and none has come close to being as thrilling as a great ICE sports car or supercar. But hey, there are some really interesting sports EVs coming very soon. Maybe one of those will put that right, but maybe not. Mostly though, I've just had enough of the EV culture war, the sniping, the name calling, the endless bloody row about EVs on social media. If you hate EVs, go and drive a Porsche Taycan or an Audi like the one I've been driving today. I guarantee you will find something to like about it. And if you love EVs, be honest, there are real issues with them right now. They can be inconvenient, and they are nothing like as fun to drive as a 911 GT3. So there you go, that's why so many boring car people like me seem to hate electric cars. And after reviewing EVs for years, after living with this one for 6 months, that's how I feel about EVs as a die-hard car enthusiast. Before you run to the comments, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.